Here who's quite tan after his vacation, but here's your intro. That's right. He's back from vacation looking almost as tan as Barack Obama. Mark Malik comes in with a Super Bowl or bust comment. That being said, how was the vacation, Mike?
Man, the vacation was so good, Jeremy. Thanks for asking. Yeah, I got some sun. I was on a barrier island down in North Carolina coast. Took a week with the family. It was a great time. Got to recharge the battery, but I fell behind on Detroit Lions news. People are buzzing about what happened at OTAs and the presser, and I have yet to catch up. So I'm kind of counting on you to fill me in on what's going on.
Fantastic. Yesterday, Panay Sewell started off the players' part of the presser after OTAs, and he said some key things. Number one, Jared Goff helped him to become a more vocal leader, and it started at the Jacksonville game.
Wow.
And at the end of his statement, he made a bold statement. We're coming for the Super Bowl.
Awesome.
So with it starting back at the Jacksonville game, and that's when he became more of a leader and everything else, and everybody questions Goff leadership ability. I think that's all put to bed after that statement was made by somebody of Panay Sewell's character and quality and how he was a leader at Oregon.
Yeah, but this is the NFL, though, right, Jeremy? I mean, he's only a third-year player. So, I mean, how much clout does that carry? But everyone on this to a man they speak about, and they call him JG, and he's a California surfer dude. He's really laid back and he's not in your face, but he's such a competitor. So I think he's won over this locker room, and he's won over the front office of the Detroit Lions. I believe they believe that they have their franchise quarterback.
Yep, but I think they just drafted Hooker as a bargaining chip.
Well, and I think that those words by Panay Sewell only, drives that home further. That a Pro Bowl, who is now a Pro Bowl tackle in the league, those guys want to go in the trenches and work hard for a quarterback that they respect. So it's his tale as old as the league. So that's why the quarterbacks buy them watches and cars, because they know that if it wasn't for those guys up front, they'd all be Daniel Jones.
Main event, this says a lot about us. Mark Malik says there was a free concert at Lambeau Field tonight. Super lame, so we bolted. We're more entertaining than a free concert. I love it. And, of course, Smokin Dad comes in and says, hello, guys.
What's up, guys? Yeah, right. So...
And the other one, I got to tell you, it's exactly what I said on day one of the draft and day two that morning when I talked to you guys about the draft. Jahmyr Gibbs is lining up at wide receiver and in the backfield and showing out at both positions. As I predicted, he was drafted not only to replace Swift, but because Jameson Williams is out for 6 weeks, so he can actually line up there and let David Montgomery take a bulk of the run carries.
Right. I just love what Brad Holmes, the way he built this team, the way he signed Marvin Jones ahead of the news of Jameson Williams. He knew what was coming before any of us knew, and I love it. I just love how he plans, and everything makes sense with the salary cap. He's really doing a stellar job. I mean, Sports Illustrated rated him the 7th best GM in the league, and he's only in his 3rd year. So It's really is incredible what he's done here. I mean, the season hasn't even started, and Lions fans are banging their chest. And, that's what I wanted to talk to you today about, Jeremy, was, these other fan bases, do you think they feel it like we feel it? And as Lions fans, do you feel it like I feel it? Like this is like the 84 Tigers and the 02 Red Wings. I mean, especially if you're a Lions fan who's from Michigan watching this show, I mean, do you feel it in the street, in the air like I do? Jeremy, I'm going to ask you, do you?
Well, you know what? It's funny because I've got more people talking to me about Lions that are customers at work than I've ever had.
Right.
Since I started podcasting, because I got an old Lions hat that I wear while I work. Because, hey, I see somebody wearing Lions gear, guess what? I'm going to tell them about the podcast.
Yep. and that's a great call. I see more Lions gear, more Lions hats every day out in the world. And you just wait. When this team starts winning, you're going to have bandwagon fans jumping, coming out of the woodwork. And it's going to be a good time to be a Detroit Lions podcaster, my friend. And let us know what you think in the comments. Do you feel it? Do you feel like there's something special coming here with this team? We'd love to hear what you say.
All right. Big Dan Davis comes in and says, JG is a competitor. His frustration with JMO over running a route and OTU showed he threw his hands in the air like, what the fuck?
Right.
Well, you have to remember it was also 95 degrees that day. And I know because I was working out in it. And when something frustrating happens, tempers get overflared when you're hot, you're sweaty, you're working out in that hot sun. I don't care if you are in the pajama Olympics of OTAs with no contact. It's still hot. And your tempers are raised to another level.
Right.
So I'm going to blow it off because we've had this every year in OTAs. Players get mad at each other and have a shouting match or whatever. So I'm going to let that go as to he's a second-year guy, and he's a vet, and he's saying, hey, pay attention to your playbook.
Right. With that speed, though, I mean, Goff has short-armed a few throws in his day, so, maybe there's something else to that, and we're only hearing one side of it. You got some great comments coming in already. Patty, yeah. I'm a dude Grimes says, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the show, Patty. So glad you did come back. And we got one who said that they went to a concert at Lambeau, and then they decided to join this show, the Biting Kneecaps Live. I mean, that's awesome, right?
Yeah.
Have you ever been to Lambeau, Jeremy?
No, I have not. I need to. It is one of my.
I think we all need to go at least once in our life, right? As much as we detest the Packers, I definitely respect the organization, and I respect what hallowed ground Lambeau Field is for sure. And that's why when you win there as a Lions fan, it's even more special. And that's why you think we should hang banners because we beat you there.
Yeah, I mean, we should put a couple banners up over the last 2 years.
Sure, hell yeah, we're the Lions. We'll take it. We love to talk Detroit Lions.
Yes. If Goff has a good season, Lions win at least 2 playoff games. That's not a super hot take, but it's pretty hot because everybody thinks that Goff is just good enough to get you there and not win a playoff game is all the talk you hear from every other fan base out there. But I couldn't get there. I have to take time off work, Mark. There's a big difference. I didn't puss out. I could not get there for the game. It sucked.
All right, Mark. How do you like that comment, Jeremy? I asked Jeremy to come to Lambeau last year, week 17, free ticket. He pushed out. I was there. It was amazing.
Yeah,
what?
I couldn't get the time off work because, there's no way I'm going to drive all the way to Lambeau and then drive back and work the next day.
So is Mark a Lions fan? He went to Lambeau?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
He lives up there. He lives up there, and he's a Lions fan. So you know how hard it is for him.
It's something that always intrigues me is fans and their attitudes. I was at a Tiger game in downtown Detroit, and actually we were clubbing in Detroit, and a Tiger game got out, and were playing the Red Sox. And the Boston fans, as we just walked along the concourse there in downtown Detroit, outside the stadium, they were just jerks, man. I mean, they were such jerks. They had won the game. But we were winning our division. That was the year we went to the World Series. So that would have been 2006 or
2012.
2006. I think we went to the World Series. So, but they put such a bad taste in my mouth that I have hated all Boston teams. You know, I always hated the Celtics because of the bad boy years, but they just put a bad taste. Now I hate Boston teams as a whole all the way around. So it really intrigues me the way fans treat each other and the kind of stereotypes we might think about what other fan bases are like. And as we've been doing it over at the NFC North Open, Mike, which as you know, Jeremy, I'm involved with, it has really been interesting to see how the different attitudes and the way these different fan bases are. You got any experiences like that?
Yeah, I mean, I actually went to Lowell, Massachusetts for training when I was doing computer and TV work to learn how to do satellite and uh, server repair. So while I was there for that 2 weeks, we would travel to the weekends to Boston just to go howl around. And I got to go and do a walkthrough tour during the day because they were away of Fenway Park. So I visited Fenway Park, and that was a bucket list field to see in person.
Right.
I got to go see the Cheers TV set in downtown Boston at the restaurant there. And it was pretty cool. You know, it wasn't as cool as I thought it was going to be, but it was pretty cool.
Right.
And I got to go to the Museum of Arts and Natural Science and Natural History and sit through one of those IMAX theater things about the dinosaurs.
But how are the fans?
The fans actually, because I wore, whether it was Detroit Tigers, Detroit Lions, or Detroit Red Wings, I had something on my back every day. And you had some people that would just turn their nose up and walk away. And then there was a couple of people, it was really cool. You know, and the bad part is we actually meet up with people 90% of the time in that 10% of the fan base that are just total buttheads. That's who you're going to run into 90% of the time. But when you're in their place is when you run into the other 90%, which are actually really nice, pretty cool people. But it turns you off when you're in your hometown, when you run into those fanatics that have all the money and think they're better than everybody else and treat you like you're dirt.
Mark says, how close to Detroit do you guys live? I live in Davison, Michigan, if you know where that is. I'm from Flint, so right there.
You are about 2 miles away from me because I'm
right there in Flint town.
I'm by Burton in Bentley district. So you literally are like 2-3 miles away from me.
Right on.
So we are about an hour on a good traffic day, an hour and a half on a bad traffic day out of Detroit.
Absolutely. You going to go down to the draft next year?
Absolutely.
I mean, is that going to be something that's hard to get in? How do you get tickets? Do you know anything about that?
They released the ticket dates coming up shortly because until they have the actual set date, times, and everything else, they won't release it. We just know it's coming.
Yeah.
But as soon as I hear something, I'll let you know.
And be sure to put it in the comments if you plan on going down to the NFL draft next year in Detroit. Does anybody have any information? Have you heard anything, Jeremy, about where they're going to hold it? Is it going to be like in Hart Plaza, or are they going to have it at Little Caesars Arena? I mean, how's that going to go? Does anyone know? It's going to be at Ford Field?
No, it's not going to be at Ford Field, Little Caesars Arena, or Comerica Park. It's going to be at that park. What's the name of the park, Dan? You know
Hart
it.
Plaza?
I think so.
Where the big fist of Joe Louis is?
No, there's another park, like an actual park, a big park downtown.
Yeah, so that makes sense. They'll do it outside under big giant tents with a big stage. And
probably the one, Camp Martis Park.
Camp Martis Park. Thank you, Big Dan Davis. Camp Martis Park. So they're going to appropriate all of that land. And, they said there was over 250,000 people in Kansas City for this year's draft.
And think about it. The fan bases, Kansas City's a good place, and you can draw all those West and Southern fans in there. It's harder to get the ones from our end of the woods there. But we're going to be drawing in people from Pennsylvania, Ohio, Indiana,
Green Bay,
Illinois, Wisconsin, Minnesota. They're all going to flock over here because it's not that far of a drive, really.
Right. It's centrally Midwest located for sure.
Mm-hmm. So we're going to have all of those. We're probably even going to get some Tennessee fans, Cincinnati fans, maybe even some East Coast fans in here.
Well, yeah, and like always, though, there will be all 32 teams, fan bases represented in
Oh
some
yeah, I
capacity
mean,
here.
super fans are at
But
every single
I
one.
think it's a big deal having the draft in Detroit. I think it's going to be awesome. It's I don't want to say once in a lifetime thing, but definitely a milestone accomplishment. This franchise is on the way up. They're ascending, and even the NFL is recognizing it. Especially, you can tell by the way we've been put on prime time. The way that they've left a to-be-determined game on the back end of the schedule so they could possibly flex us to another primetime game. Vegas has the Lions favored to win the division. It's a really good time to be a Lions fan right now. I just love seeing all these people chiming in from different places. We got one says, good evening and go Niners.
Yeah,
What do you
that's
think
No
of
Man
that?
Multimedia. He's a buddy of mine that's been on a couple podcasts. He follows me. Coming up soon, I think in 3 weeks, No Man, I'll get a hold of you to represent the 49ers in my NFC West show. Do we have to let Bears, Packers fans come to the draft next year? Yes. If they let Lions go everywhere, we got to let them go
Yeah,
everywhere.
hopefully they'll have the first pick.
Hey, but I will say, in 2025, they must be expecting the Packers to have another top 10 pick because Green Bay got the draft.
Right.
Mike and JB, who do you guys see as players from last year's roster more than likely getting cut after camp? God, you have to think that the guys that fell to practice squad or was barely even doing special teams duties or have been hurt. So if he can't get healthy by the time the preseason starts, Levi Onwuzurike comes to mind right off the bat. Graham Glasgow has been struggling at camp and has struggled ever since his surgery that he returned from 2021. In 2022, that's why Denver let him go. It wasn't because he was a good player still, it's because he was struggling. So there's a chance he might not make it, which is why we signed Jermaine Ifedi. It's a great signing if you think about it because he can also replace Matt Nelson as the swing tackle. Barnes will not be gone. Barnes was drafted. It's only his third year.
I see the reasoning there, though. I do see. I think that's a good take that Barnes will probably be gone. I agree with you, Jeremy. I don't think Derek Barnes will go. They love him. It's a guy that they drafted, and they've already proven that is a big deal to them. To Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes, they're guys that they drafted. So to answer the question, who do you think gets cut? That's a great question, Big Dan. Honestly, he's got a great point because, like you said, guys that were practice squad fringe, like Tom Kennedy. Now, if Antoine Green makes the team with Marvin Jones, obviously Jamison Williams, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Josh Reynolds, Khalif Raymond, somebody they can't carry all of these wide receivers. So one of those guys is going to go. Yeah, and then you've got this tight end room, Sam Laporta coming. Obviously, they drafted James Mitchell. He's going to be healthy off of a foot injury. They've got Brock Wright. They've got Zylstra, James Mitchell, Jason Kabinda, and now Sam Laporta. So something's got to give in the tight end room as well. I think it's going to be Zylstra, the odd man out.
Zylstra, the odd man out. And as much as I hate to say it, because Mitchell can do both tight end and fullback duties.
You think Kabinda?
It could be Kabinda, and I don't want that to happen. I like Kabinda, don't get me wrong, but I want him to go back to what got him moved to fullback.
Yeah, but Kabinda's a stable on the special teams too.
Right. I want him to go back to being more of the special teams guy. He's done less of the special teams lately because they've been using him more as a fullback.
Right. Losing CJ Moore and the gambling scandal is going to hurt the special teams, so they need to fill that hole.
That's also why we bought back Jalen Reeves-Maybin too, because he's a special team specialist.
Ooh, Big Dan says Melifanu getting cut. And that's a great call because they were talking about converting him to safety, and now you add Brian Branch and C.J. Gardner-Johnson and Kirby and Tracy Walker coming back. That safety room's getting awfully crowded. Ife Melifanu could go. But however, he's really versatile and another guy drafted by Brad Holmes.
Right. And another one is the guy we picked last year has to be looking over his shoulder right now with what we have in the cornerback room, Chase Lucas. Because Savion Smith was looking good. A.J. Parker's looked good at times. Jerry Jacobs has looked fantastic for being.
Yeah, they like Jerry Jacobs too.
So
Will Harris, they like him, but he has to be looking over his shoulder as well because Brian Branch, Brandon Joseph, CJ GJ. Emmanuel Mosley, though, hasn't actually seen the field. We don't actually know what he's going to do. All we know is what they speculate and say, oh, he's going to be ready by training camp. That's a great question, though, Big Dan. Thanks for that. Mark guesses that Julian Aquara and our buddy Craig Reynolds will be cut. Whoa. That's a keen observation, though, when you think about Mohamed Ibrahim, a stellar running back from Minnesota joins this team. I think Jermar Jefferson is the guy that is going to be the odd man out, and that our friend Craig Reynolds, like we saw on Hard Knocks, Dan goes, aren't you just going to be sick to your stomach if you lose Craig? Because you know someone else is going to pick Craig Reynolds up.
Right.
If you lose it.
We haven't picked back up Justin Jackson, which tells us that the depth on the team isn't necessary to pick him back up.
Right.
I think with Mohamed Ibrahim, it makes Craig Reynolds unfortunately cuttable.
Because they're the same kind of back. Whereas Jermar Jefferson is not the same kind of back as Ibrahim.
It's not good.
Well, that's a good call too. The type of back would factor into that, but I think that's a great call out by Mark. I hadn't even heard the Craig Reynolds getting cut, because when you add Jahmyr Gibbs into the room, but you did lose DeAndre Swift.
No, but they usually only carry 3 active on the roster to begin
and 1 on the practice squad.
And 1 on the practice squad. So Jermar Jefferson or Netflix, one of them guys are definitely gone. And I thought Jermar Jefferson was already cut back at the beginning of the first cut.
I thought that as well, but we just saw the updated roster just the other day, and Jermar Jefferson was on it. I actually went on my show and said that Jermar Jefferson was cut, and then because I could have swore that he was.
Yeah, I saw that too. That's why I'm saying I saw it in the list of cuts.
Yeah.
Oh, we probably signed him back to one of those futures contracts to keep it from eating cap this year.
Kabinda ain't been healthy forever. Good point.
It's true. It's true. I mean, as much as we love Kabinda and what he does for special teams, as far as being able to be on the field, he's not on the field a lot. He was, and if you think about it, he's actually been on the field less than Swift over the last 3 years.
Big Dan Davis says, I've canceled my subscription to Netflix. Ibrahim gets the spot at RB3 in his opinion. That's a keen take, Big Dan.
I love it.
I've canceled my subscription. You got to admire the way Craig Reynolds plays. He plays hard on every play. He's such an outstanding guy. And, what else can you ask the guy to do?
But
he's done everything you've asked him to do.
Oh, if he's Netflix, what do we call Ibrahim then? Blockbuster? We're bringing back Blockbuster.
I love Deuce Staley gave him that name because one day he's sitting on the couch watching Netflix. The next day he's in the game playing and scored a touchdown.
Yeah, I know. And let's talk about the love that we see between the coaching staff all the way through the players lately. It started with Brad Holmes wearing a picture of Dan Campbell on a presser. The next presser, 2 days later, Dan Campbell's wearing a picture of Brad Holmes wearing a picture of Dan Campbell. Then you had 3 days ago, Ben Johnson comes out in the presser and he duct tapes a picture of Aaron Glenn to his shirt. And then you got Kirby Joseph coming up to the after OTA presser wearing a free JMO shirt.
You do have to love it. I think it's
from top to bottom. There's love. There's cohesiveness. It's a culture we have not seen in this city ever. Not since Herman Moore and Brett Perriman and Barry Sanders and Benny Blades, Chris Spielman, and all those guys were playing together. We haven't seen it since then.
And you have culture within culture. Like the villains is not the players. That's the office personnel. That's the management staff. So they have their own little culture inside the culture. Another thing we've never seen, you're building a family atmosphere. You're building winning mentality and team building. It's real stuff, man. And like you said, we've never seen that in Detroit before. And I think that's really what adds to this feeling. As Lions fans, we're kind of in shock to see it done right.
Yeah, it's a shame when you say, man, I like this guy, but we're better off without him because of who we have now.
Yeah,
it's a damn shame that we have to feel that way, but it's a damn good thing at the same time.
See TJ Hawkinson.
I hated the TJ Hawkinson pick from day one. It should have been Ed Oliver.
It was a terrible. Brent says, love the vibe from the coaching staff. They're working but having fun, great culture. Yeah, and we're seeing it around the league as well, Brent. We're seeing that other players want to come here. They're talking about the Lions. The Lions are becoming relevant. And all you Packer fans, Viking fans, Bear fans, I want you to come on Monday night and tell me why I'm wrong. Come on Monday nights to the NFC North Open mic. We're broadcasting live into the Kneecap Biters group. Be sure to check us out and voice your opinion.
Not only that, let's talk about that right there. The players wanting to come here. CJGJ did an interview with that Danielle Rogers, I think that's her name, right? The one that does all the interviews with all the Detroit Lions players and coaches in the offseason on Fox or Valley Sports or whatever.
Yeah.
She said, what made you want to come here? And he goes, you remember that primetime game versus the Packers last year? Kirby Joseph gets an interception. It gets called back due to a bad penalty. And he goes back 2 plays later. They ran the ball, then they pass it again, and he gets a pick right there. And I was like, man, this team's got some fight. And he watched them and how they came back, and they just kept their foot on their throats. And then he goes, that's a team I want to play for. If the guy that led the league in interceptions as a safety on a Super Bowl caliber team says, that's a team I want to play for, that national and player recognition on what this team is building.
Right. And this is a great segue into my next question that I wanted to ask you. We are talking to Jeremy Ballreich, Smokin Jeremy B, and it is the hot button issue right now with Lion fans. Should we sign DeAndre Hopkins as a free agent? And Jeremy, I think we should, but I need you to tell me how it works with the contract.
See, the problem is we got $15 million worth of rookies to sign with $23 million in cap space, and there's no wiggle room on rookie cap.
So that only leaves $8 million.
So unless he's
that's not enough,
right? Unless he's going to sign for a $5 million prove it deal.
No, OBJ got 18, Jeremy.
Right, you got to save $3 million for whatever signing bodies in case someone gets hurt. Right. $3 to $4 million is what they save every year, no matter what. Every team does it. If they've got cap room, that's how much they save.
DC 8091 says, Foop, no.
Yeah,
he said, no, do not get DeAndre Hopkins. Why not, DC? Okay. Come on. He's the stickiest hands in the league. He's a deep threat. He plays beyond the numbers. He's Marvin Jones times 10. He could be the piece that puts us over the edge.
And misses as much time as DeAndre Swift every year.
Look, last year he didn't miss any games. He didn't miss any games because of injury last year.
He missed 6 games last year due to
No, he was suspended for performance enhancing. It had nothing to do with injury. And he tore it up in the 9 games that he played. Absolutely tore it up.
9 games.
With no quarterback throwing to him.
Hey, the only reason why Mighty Mouse throws to him, it's the only receiver he can see downfield over the offensive lineman.
He could be the piece we need to put this offense over the top. You put him into that room, this offense is unstoppable.
If we had the money.
Why not? 1 year, renegotiate Jared Goff's contract.
They're not renegotiating him.
Renegotiate it, free up about $15 million, add it to the 8 you've got. Give D Hop a $17 million 1 year, prove it. Why not? Put all your chips in with it to try to win a Super Bowl. You still got a young team, a young nucleus. You've got cap room.
And Brent DeWitt says it too. He's not number one. He named the teams he wanted to play for, and the Lions weren't one of them.
Yeah, because none of them are going to give him $18 million either.
Oh, the only one that can is the Jets.
The Lions could also.
No, they don't have. I'm saying right now.
The Lions could do that.
Jeremy, how do you spell your Facebook name? Here, I'll do it for you. Just a second.
Yeah, it was Colt McCoy, one of the Facebook users, is pointing out for half of those games, and he was killing it. D-Hop is one of the top 5 in the league, in my opinion. When it comes to 50-50 balls, he's the best. He is the best 50-50 ball receiver in the league, and that's well known.
That's right.
Patty says, who has a better chance of being a bust, a young C.J. Stroud or Anthony Richardson?
Oh, Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, or Anthony Richardson. right now the highest bust potential. And it's nothing against him. His ceiling is super high, but his bottom is super low. It's Anthony Richardson.
Yeah, but who has a better? So by virtue of that, he has a better chance of being a
Right.
bust.
Right.
Okay. Okay.
When you're a quarterback coming out of college with a 53.2 completion percentage, and you're being compared to Josh Allen, who never had below a 60 in Wyoming.
Mm-hmm.
He's more closer to Malik Willis on a good team. Because Malik Willis on a bad team had a 58.2 completion percentage, and we all saw how garbage he was when he played for Tennessee last year.
Right.
And we expect Anthony Richardson to be better, and they blame it on, but the wide receiver dropped his passes. Maybe because he doesn't have touch and he only knows to throw things at 110 miles an hour like a certain quarterback that all the Lions fans used to gripe about.
Well, the question is, which one has a better chance of being a bust of all three? I mean, there is a chance that all three bust. There is a chance that all three are not busts, right?
And you know what's funny?
But I think
all
for
three
my
might
money,
not be busts, and if they get moved to another team, we'll get the flourish because they've all went to bad teams.
And furthermore, what do you consider a bust? How many years has to go by before something is considered a bust? Is it 3 years? Well, Zach Wilson only got 2.
The problem is D-Hop said he said Mahomes, Rodgers, Herbert, Jackson, Josh Allen. That's who the 5 that he named right off the top of his head.
Right. One Facebook user says, imagine D-Hop on the Chiefs. Ooh.
Yeah, he wants to go there. But guess what? They're in cap hell. They can't afford him.
They can't afford it. But so it's really going to be interesting. Does D-Hop want a ring or does he want to get paid? Which team he chooses to sign with is going to answer that question. Because if he wants a ring, he could get signed for less money and go to a real contender like the Niners.
He already turned down $15 million to the Bills.
Is that true?
He met with the Bills last week on Friday. He turned it down.
He turned down $15 million.
Yeah. So he wants to be paid.
It's got to be. Then he's obviously not looking for a Super Bowl because that would be a good fit for him. But Stephon Diggs, you'd be upending the apple cart. He's really sensitive.
Yeah.
Jeremy, let him talk. He is unfolding his conversation on his own, a Facebook user said. I'm not sure what that means. The Patriots have strong interest in D-Hop as well. Can they afford him, though?
Yes.
They are a team that can afford him.
They're not a team that overspends on anybody.
Right. So they're not going to give him $17 million.
Right. No, actually, that's his mark. The minimum market value for him is right around 17.
Mm-hmm.
He could be paid up to 20, but they'll probably pay him right at that market value at 17.
Sure. OBJ got 18.
Right. They won't overpay. They won't.
Would you rather have OBJ or D-Hop?
Well, that's a no-brainer. It's D-Hop over OBJ.
And OBJ got 18. So why wouldn't you make a few negotiations if you're Brad Holmes and bring him in on a 1-year 18?
Because he said he didn't want to be here.
Oh,
he didn't say he wanted to be here.
He never, just because he didn't name us as a destination he'd like to play with on a wish list.
No. He said the teams I want to play with and named out the quarterbacks. He didn't mention Jared Goff.
Or Josh Allen?
He mentioned Josh Allen.
But then turned down $15 million.
Right, because he wants his market value or more.
Okay, so
that puts the Lions completely out of it as far as.
So you're saying if the Lions call, he's not even answering the phone, because I know DeAndre Hopkins represents himself. Is why I hate it that these players don't have agents. It slows everything down.
I understand, but yeah, I don't even think he'd answer the phone if we called.
Wow, let us know what you think. Put it in the comments. I know a lot of people are chiming in saying we don't need D-Hop. But I'm sorry, you can't dismiss the fact of injecting a guy like that into the locker room could be huge for us on the field. So, I mean, that would be a statement that we are trying to win a Super Bowl. We are for real contenders. One Facebook user says he also didn't name Mac Jones or C.J. Stroud. He's meeting with the Texans and the Patriots this week. So
they're rookies and they have the cap space. There's a big difference than somebody that, we have to clear $20 million just to be able to sign somebody. That makes no sense whatsoever.
So if you're looking for a ring or if you're looking for a payday, is what we are going to see. If he signs with the Texans, he's obviously not. He's never going back to the Texans.
Another UDFA that's been turning heads, because I know he just said Antoine Green surprises us all and makes the roster. Every draft pick Holmes has made the roster.
Yep.
At one point or another. So it will not surprise me if Antoine Green makes the roster. I won't be surprised at all. What will surprise me is the one that nobody's talking about out of the UDFAs, and that's that Chase Costas out of Oregon State, who's been turning heads at OTAs.
Right. Eric Dalton says Hopkins isn't coming here, dude. He must be talking to me. I'll tell you what. I hear you, but I think that if we did that, it would really make this offense unstoppable. I think he's the kind of player we need out there, or Marvin Jones 5 years ago, not Marvin Jones now. Not even Jameson Williams, because Jameson Williams is a different kind of player. The kind of player, what I'm getting at is a body type, a type of player, an X receiver that plays outside the numbers, stretches the field vertically, and can get the 50-50 balls down the sideline. The kind of receiver, we don't have that kind of receiver right now. And DeAndre Hopkins is the prototype of that kind of receiver. So I agree with you. He's probably not coming here, right? But if that we did, I don't see why we wouldn't make a play to do it. Unless, like you say, Jeremy, he says he's never coming. Fine. We're going to have to do without it, but I love it. I would love that. I think he's just a great player.
He may be a great player, but he seems to be a locker room distraction at the end of his time with the Texans. And then been a locker room distraction there with the Cardinals. And if anything went sour, he'd be that here. I don't want that. I don't want that type of negativity coming in. That's where I'm at. Do you guys think B makes it out of camp and makes the roster as our starting right guard? Well, so far he's been doing everything right. He's been out there in OTAs and he's been saying the right things at the player pressers. So, and he loved what happened while he was off after his back surgery, and he's actually been doing his rehab since around October versus Levi Almaz-Wuzariki, who started his in January.
And he did restructure his contract to stay on the team, didn't he, Jeremy?
Yes, he did. He restructured and cleared up another $4 million. He cleared $8 million last year when he restructured, when he was hurt at the beginning of the year. Now think about this. We played 34 games without our starting five even being on the field at the same time, yet have been a top 5 offensive line the entire time. Think about that.
Yeah, all right. I guess you're right, man. I can't argue with that logic right there. I'm starting a Unicorn Farm. It's the Main Event Mike Unicorn Farm, brought to you by the Kneecap Biters Group with Jeremy B.
I love Eric. He's like
buy our unicorns today.
Yeah.
I think I see your point, though, brother. I do. So let's stop looking at pie in the sky BS, right? Let's look at real possibilities. I mean, the real possibility, though, is we're going to have $8 to $9 million in our salary cap after we sign the rookies. That money's got to go somewhere. So if not D-Hop, then where?
So $4 to $5 million would be the right price for this certain player to be a great mentor for the D-line. Ndamukong Suh.
Eric Dalton is our only viewer. Is that true?
No, we have 11 up there.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, he's not watching the YouTube feed. He's watching Facebook.
Well, we appreciate you being here, Eric.
That being said, Ndamukong Suh.
Pass.
Pass?
It's one of my hate. I just hate him. I don't like him. I don't like his sister either.
Well, I hate his sister, but I'm talking about if you look at what he's done after Dan Campbell, a coach that he admires and talks well of, got his face when he had a bonehead penalty that cost him.
Yeah, well, I'm a knucklehead who wants D-Hop and not Sue. I don't want Ndamukong Suh here. I was really bummed out when he won a Super Bowl with the Buccaneers. I was really bummed out that he got a Super Bowl.
He won one with Goff and the Rams.
So yeah.
So he's been to 2. No, he's been to 3 because he was with the Eagles last year.
That's right.
So he goes to Super Bowls, and you don't want him on the team.
I don't want him on the team because of his.
Has D Hop been to a Super Bowl?
I do not want him on the team because of
D Hop been to a Super Bowl
the
ever?
disrespect he has shown us in the past.
He hasn't disrespect. He's actually bought properties here. He's been at things publicly with the Lions still in the off season, and he also is part owner of Calvin Johnson's weed shop.
Good for him, but he did not want to stay here. He said publicly he wasn't going to stay here. His sister came out and said, we got to get out of here right away. It was a bad coach. It was a bad organization at the time. Now you want to come back, and now you want to come back.
Yeah.
Listen, another thing, Jeremy, he's come right out and said, I'm not interested in training camp. No, I won't be at OTAs. That's not Dan Campbell kind of guy. That's not the kind of culture we're breeding here. Yeah, I don't care how good he is. You don't want to be in training camp. You don't want to be bothered with it. You think you're too good for training camp. That's not the kind of guys we're bringing in, Jeremy.
I just think he'd be good for teaching the D-line how to be a D-line.
Eric, my name is Main Event Mike.
It's right down there. Sue is 36. How about Shelby Harris at DT? He's younger.
There you go.
We've got young. We've got young up and down the line. We need we need vet leadership. And when I say vet leadership, I'm not talking 28 or younger.
Frank Clark. Frank Clark.
No, that's a guy looking for a payday. That's why the Chiefs cut him.
So he wants $20 million.
He wants to be paid like a top end DN who only shows up in the playoffs.
Big Dan with a great comment. Great, Big Dan with a great comment.
And Eric Dalton says,
you would not be the first, my friend. You should come on to our shit talking group.
It's fun. I think he is a part of the huddle, or he got kicked out of there. One
thing's for sure is I'm very mild here on Jeremy's show. I won't go after his guests and humiliate them. So
we try not.
You're a Lions fan. I like to take it easy on them too.
Yeah. That being said,
and I welcome the roasting. I can take it because I can dish it out. Jeremy knows that very well.
Yep, and he does it very liberously. That being said, I have had a blast. It's been great talking with you guys. Mike, go ahead and shout out what page you're with, what show you're on, and where they can find you.
It's Main Event Mike, and I host NFC North Open Mike. It's all 4 teams in the NFC North, and we talk smack. Bring your thick skin, bring your big ego. Come and get hurt. Come and get roasted. But don't take it personally because it's all in good fun. We support our teams. That's every Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern time. Facebook Live. We're in this group broadcasting as well.
Okay. And also, don't forget, you are a part of the Main Event 365.
Yeah.
Someday,
somehow.
Your other show. But anyways, that being said, this has been Kneecap's Main Event on my now called Kneecap Biting with the Detroit Lions, because I want to be found by a few more Lions fans. I am Smokin Jeremy B. It has been a pleasure talking football with Mike and the fans out here, DC, Eric Dalton, Big Dan Davis, Mark Malik, Brent DeWitt, all of you guys, you're awesome. Thank you very much. Shout out to my sponsor, A1 Tire Collins, Gloss Negron, the window tinner. He does a great job. And Wayne Shirk drops in for a visit. How you doing, buddy? It's been a pleasure. And, of course, I can't forget to say, hey, Smokin' Dad, I love you.
Hey, Jeremy, thanks for having me on the show. It's always a pleasure.
And we'll do this again in 2 weeks.
All right.
You guys have a great evening. And remember, always try to be a better person than you were the day before, because that's the only way to make the world a better place. Unless you're crap talking in the NFC North, the huddle, then make them all eat dirt.